Seafood mama, the 10 fat chicken, and she won't give me one. You see that girl named Dorothy? She fat like a butter, and she muggle like a chow. Oh, small days is still on my mind. Small days is a good time. Never had so little children. I'm gonna sing and dance, that's really admire them.
What they're singing?
On your carpet, you must be like the roses. All you need, bright and shining. You must be, and show me the one. Love the best. When I marry, I give you the ring. First the girl, second the boy. Sunday, Monday, afternoon. We will spend the honeymoon. Oh, small days is still on my mind. Small days is a good time. Never had some little children. I'm gonna sing and dance, cause really admire them.
Join the singing.
Old man house on fire. The old man ran away. He ran for the police to get the water. The ugly fire down there. Escalated, shoot, shoot, shoot. Escalated, shoot, shoot, shoot. And now wipes the lady face. The lady wipes the lady face. And she fell down, and she fell down, and she fell in the ocean too. Oh, small days is still on my mind. Small days is a good time. Never had some little children. I'm gonna sing and dance, that's really admire them.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Over to You. A pleasant good evening to you wherever you are in the world. Whether you're in Guyana, on the ground in Guyana, anywhere in the Caribbean, the islands, the United States of America, North America in general, the continent of Africa, and of course in Europe. It's going to be morning there now, or close to morning in Europe. And I know I do have a lot of viewers who stay up just to tune into this program. I thank you guys so much. This program is here because of you all. Okay, this is a program for the people, by the people. Please, guys, you know the little administrative task I ask of you every time we have a program here. Please share the link and like the program. Share the link and like the program. I'm going to start to do my little call out quick before we get into anything that we're going to discuss. It's important to recognize you guys. Sandra Hanover, Rhonda Spencer Tom, Sharon Griffith, Desiree Smart Felix, New Amsterdam in the house, Desiree Smart Felix. Good evening to you guys. Good evening, Fidel Albert. Golly God. Yes. Welcome, Desiree Hunter. Shondell Griffith, my friend. Welcome and good evening. Welcome to Over to You. Darkus John. Fombo Ramsey. Pam Halls. Mr. Keith Beresford. Good evening, sir. Good evening, Keith. Don Sampson. Paulette Hicks. Good evening. Diane Fordyce. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the show. Winston Kilkenny, welcome. Porcina Mickle Mackenzie, my awesome friend, a pleasant good evening to you. Welcome to the show, Joan Robinson. Welcome. Evadne Vado Bushell, welcome. The Honorable Miss Camille Cox Mackenzie, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Christina Lord, welcome to the show. Welcome. Again, please, guys, share the link, like the program, share the link, like the program. So, what are we dealing with? We're going to wrap up this week. We're going to wrap up this week beautifully, this beautiful Saturday evening, July 20th, 2024. What's in the news? Well, I'm going to start off with this. We need a coalition. We need a coalition. All right? Leaders have been elected for all the parties involved. Well, the WPA did not have a biannual Congress, but they have already, I'm sure, identified who their leader is going to be. Okay? And as far as the AFC and the PNCR, they had biannual Congresses held. I think it's time we start seeing these leaders coming together and start, putting out, their different, what I would say, agendas on the table and sitting down and trying to negotiate a Commonsburg Accord. I would like to see that, me personally, Wayne Caesar's opinion, I would like to see that completed and done by November. I think that is ample time. We have August, we have September, we have October, we have 3 months. I may be giving them too much of a long time also, because this shouldn't be that long and drawn out. We know, absolutely know, that we need a coalition. Okay, we see what the people of Guyana is dealing with on the PPPC. Okay, we have to be unselfish. We have to remember that when we go in to negotiate this new Commonsburg Accord, that first and foremost at the top of our agenda should be the people of Guyana. Okay? Because there's no way that you're going to get into government without the people of Guyana. Right? This is where the current installed regime is failing, because they forgot all about the people. Although it wasn't the people that would have put them there. It's what was called regime change. And that's something that we need to eliminate in Guyana. No external forces, no billionaire investors should determine who is in government. I don't think that that is democracy. I don't think that that is fair. I don't think when we speak of democracy, that is what it was meant to be, where you have these billionaire donors coming together and determine, okay, we're picking this government, and this government is going to be in power. That's a waste of the people's time to go down and cast a ballot thinking that their ballot is really going to count, when in essence, it is not going to count for anything, because you have these big high-end delegates who are multi-millionaire, millionaires and billionaires determining their fate when it comes to democracy. Okay, and let's say that that was the case. Let's say that that is the case. Look, the government that they would have chosen to put in place in Guyana. Just look at it. Take a good look. I know my good friend Mr. Basil Bracher usually have a program which eventually is going to be coming to 107.1 FM, Wake Up Guyana, or Good Morning Guyana. It's one of the two. But I want to say this. Guyanese, we need to wake up. We need to open our eyes, and we need to pay attention to our politics. I know a lot of people always say, hey, I don't want to get into politics. Well, it depends on what your politics look like. I would like not to be in politics. But when I see what my brothers and sisters have to go through in Guyana, when I see what the young people coming up today in Guyana have to face, right? When I see poverty, when I see hunger, it bothers me. because I am all about humanity. I have a special love in my heart for every single human being. Every single human being. The ones that I don't like is the ones that I don't like what they are doing. What they are doing to others. They are not showing any level of humanity. They are heartless. And that's what we're seeing from this PPP install regime. Look what would have happened recently to our brothers and sisters in Sarah Joanna. And this is not the first time that we're seeing this. This is not the first time we're seeing this. We saw this at Hillfoot. We saw this at Moko. We seen it at Success on LBI. Right? We've seen it. We continue to see it under this regime. And it's not to say when they come to do these things, there's a plan in place to, okay, we're going to relocate these people here. Okay, you can take this or leave it. There is no alternative. So basically, you're taking mothers and children and just putting them into the streets. And Irfan Ali, I quote you. You have the best interests of women and children. I am quoting you. You said this. Now, Wayne Caesar, I am quoting you. You said this. You said this. What does it prove? You guys cannot be trusted. You can never be trusted. And again, Guyanese, if you don't wake up and understand this, your future will be totally lost. August 20th is going to be, I think, 4 years to the PPPC. I think I have the date correct. August 20th, it's going to be 4 years since the PPPC would have been at the hem in Guyana. We have not seen free university. Okay? We have just, our teachers have returned to work basically. They strike, but to no effect. They have returned to work with promises from an install regime. An install regime that would have failed the people over and over and over again. But I can't tell the teachers not to go back to work because they are children to be educated in Guyana. And they would have already lost a lot of time with the teachers being out on strike. Many of them, not every single teacher strike. Right? But many would have strike. The government would have made promises to the unions. We will see what will happen there. Because usually nothing happens. The government have a tendency to always fail. It doesn't matter who it is. It can be the children of Guyana. It can be the teachers. It could be young Guyanese who aspire, young poor Guyanese who aspire to attend university, but cannot do so because it is not free of cost, which is in our constitution. That's a massive lawsuit. I don't know who would be willing to pick it up. Okay, that's a massive lawsuit. The government can be sued. I have never seen any article pass through Parliament that says that we are voting to make university no longer free. If something did pass through Parliament with such a voting, please educate me. But I don't recall seeing or hearing anything of that nature. And Guyanese would have been without free education since about probably 1992 or 93, whenever the PPP would have gained power in Guyana. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen, this evening. Think about how many lives this government would have impacted. Think about how many futures they would have damaged. Just think. and they themselves are not educated. Hence the reason that they want the population also to be uneducated, because an educated population would be very, very, very difficult to control. They would have a lot of questions for you, intelligent questions that some may not even be able to answer. Okay, Mr. Jagdio? An intelligent population would have a lot of intelligent questions. That's why you or none of the other PPP leaders, and when I say none, none of them could walk in the shoes of Lyndon Forbes, Samson Burnham. He made education free from nursery to tertiary. He was not intimidated by having people be educated around him. When you have educated resources around you, it makes you stronger as a leader. You have competent individuals that you can tap into. So, for every leader that's out there, for the leader of the PNCR, the leader of the AFC, and the leader of the WPA, and all other small joiner parties involved, I would say to you, please examine your people and make sure that you have competent people around you, dedicated people around you, loyal people around you. Businesses of the party should not be out in public unless the party is going to release a statement to put that particular issue into the public domain. I'll take a quick second here to just check through you guys' comments, because I like to pick up, issues that you guys are discussing. Let me see. All right. You guys got a lot here. I was looking at a small piece written by Mr. Adam Harris. I just want to touch on it quickly. It was in the Village Voice, where he talks about the Guyana police force just about being gone. The Guyana police force is gone. It's non-existent. Mr. Adam Harris doesn't know what's there now. But he was recalling. Now remember, Adam Harris is a veteran journalist. And I must say this, one of the very best that I've seen in Guyana. And wherever you are, Mr. Harris, a pleasant good evening to you. He was reminding us of the days where in the Guyana police force, not all the officers carry a firearm. They had their batons, and they have, the constables with their batons, and these guys were strict. They were strictly about police work. They would have signed an oath, and that oath was to serve the people, and not just serve the people. That oath, they were signing on to accept the salary that they would have received for serving the people. That's where we have a major disconnect currently. That's where we have a major disconnect currently, that the opposition, once elected into government in 2025, would need to address with immediate effect. No hesitation. They should have a team put together to address this issue of policing in Guyana. My advice would be for them to reach out to some of the veteran policemen, the clean ones, because there are a lot of veteran retired policemen, and they are not all clean. The clean ones. Get with them and discuss policing reforms. They need to be reformed when it comes to policing in Guyana. I do not believe it's fair for a minibus driver and a minibus conductor to be going about their way, doing their thing normally, no violations, no nothing, and you just get stopped. Hey, give me 2,000 there, boy, or else I'm going to pull you in for the rest of the night. Nah, no, that's not what you signed up for. Before you do that, think about it. No, that is absolutely not what you signed up for. You signed up to serve and protect. If a citizen is not violating or committing any violations, you should not pull them in. You should not solicit monies from them. Another job of the Guyana Police Force and policing in general is to know your community. And I think Mr. Adam Harris touched on that. Know your community. Empower young people. You know, you might run into a young man skipping school. You get him and you speak to him. And you give him the reasons why he or she should be in school. But we're not seeing that in Guyana now. And you know why we're not seeing that for the most part in Guyana now? Because a lot of our police officers in Guyana are not really educated when it comes to the police work and what they need to be actually doing. They're not educated on their own duties. You can't just pick up gangsters from the street and hire them and call them police, give them a big gun and call them police. What do you think going to happen to your citizenry? What you think is going to happen to your citizenry in Guyana when you do such things? And the PPP does not care what they do. They don't care. So the people of Guyana need to stand up. They need to start paying attention to their politics. They need to start focusing on the issues that are affecting them now, because if you don't focus on the issues that are affecting you now, if you don't make your voices heard from a political perspective in Guyana, I am telling you, you will be sorry. You will be sorry. Because all these large investors coming into Guyana, you guys are not on their agenda. It is all about money. There's no focus from a humanity perspective. You guys have seen that. You think Barry Jagdeo care about the people of Guyana? Barry Jagdeo care about making deals. It's about making deals. You think when these deals are made, your best interest is at heart? It's not at heart. It's not. You guys need to wake up. For those 23 years, I understand. Many of you have been conditioned to live that way. Once you're being punished, you get accustomed to being punished. And you always think that there's nothing better than being punished. No. Well, like Mr. Nigel Yule said, better must come. Better must come. And from a religious and spiritual perspective, I say this to you. Pray for your leaders. Pray that they remain authentic. Pray that they remember what the task at hand actually is and not be intimidated by power, meaning external powers, and money. And also them themselves doesn't take their power and use it the wrong way. When I say pray for your leaders, I'm not talking about the PPP. I'm not talking about them. No. It doesn't matter what you say to these people or what you do. These people pay no attention. to the Guyanese people. Now I'm hearing something being thrown out there about $100,000 monthly pension to pensioners. If that come to fruition, it would be a beautiful thing. It would be a beautiful thing. But I'm going to say this. If it could come to fruition now or next year, it could have come to fruition at the end of 2020 or early to mid 2021. So if this is something that the PPPC think that they're going to do, that's going to sway the Guyanese people to put them back there, Guyanese, I need you guys to exercise some level of understanding as to what is happening here. Okay? Money in your pocket next year doesn't equal to money in your pocket 12 years from now. So I'm going to be watching you guys. I am going to be watching you closely to see how you guys navigate this. I'm going to see if you guys are selfless, if you are extremely selfish, because remember, there are generations to come behind you. Remember, you are representing your children, and some of you are even representing your grandchildren. Okay? When you see money in front of you, you don't think money. You think about the meaning of that money, and you think about your family. And you think about the choice that you're about to make. These things are important. These things are very, very pertinent to the future of the everyday born and bred Guyanese. Not every Guyanese sitting in Guyana is going to be able to make it out to live in a foreign country. And why run away from your country when there is wealth right under your nose that is not hitting you? Why? For my brothers and sisters who are living in North America here on the program, even some of you who live in the UK and other places around the world that experiences different types of weather, you guys need to explain, and you could put it in your comments. Explain to the normal everyday Guyanese what you face when we have blizzards. The temperature is minus. You know, you can't feel your nose, you can't feel your fingers, you can't feel your lips. But you still got to go there on that hustle. Your rent is going to still be due, right? At the beginning of the month or the end of the month, wherever it falls, or the middle of the month, wherever it falls, it's going to be due, right? The landlord is not going to tell you, oh, this month was cold. You don't have to pay rent, right, my brothers and sisters? You still have to pay it, right? In Guyana, it is beautiful. It is warm. Yes, it gets extremely warm sometimes. It's a bit slower. You don't face the hustle and bustle that you have to face, especially in the United States. It's a hustle. It's survival of the fittest. We have to deal with that. You have to deal with that when you come here. So think about all these things. Think about all these things. Some of you, when you get here, you got to go back and re-educate yourself because they only will accept certain credits. So it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with from a family perspective. It's a lot to deal with. We need to start sitting down our children. We need to start edifying them on these matters so that they have an early understanding. Look at all the young men that would have born under the PPPC regime that is out there hanging out on the bridges, chilling out, getting stabbed up, getting shoot up, committing violent crimes. That's because government would have failed those young people. And a lot of people would look at me and say, Wayne, you can't blame the government. Why can't I blame the government? There is no free university. There is no incentive or promise that are made to these young people that if you go to school or if you apply yourself with a trade, in learning a trade, that you're going to get a job. I got friends that are top-notch contractors, and they call me and they say, Wayne, we can't get nothing. We don't have nothing this month. And they say sometimes in order for us to get this or get anything, we have to become a part of the status quo. That should not be. Any Guyanese, once possessing the necessary skills, should be able to get a job. Jobs should not become a political issue. But it is under the PPPC. Once they got into power, they went on a firing spree. They went on a firing crusade. How can I promise to the people of Guyana 50,000 jobs? But soon as I get into office, I go in on a firing crusade. And when you look at the people that are being fired, 86% of them are Guyanese of African descent. How you think that look? How you think that look? It doesn't look good. The optics doesn't look good for the PPPC. The people that they knock down their stalls out of the seawall. Optics don't look good. From what I understand, those things are being built back. And the vendors there are not those same people. The way Guyana is trending very, very favorably to the rich and the rich only. But I must say this, the masses in Guyana are poor. Okay? The masses are poor. And when I say masses, what am I meaning? Well, let me just put it in my own terminology, that there are way more poor people than rich people in Guyana. It's like this. Just all the rich people and the poor people, they're just there, living in poverty. Over 60% of our young children, they're facing some measure of food poverty and general poverty overall. And you come and you hand out this because we care grant, school grant or whatever, $45,000, 40,000, something to that effect. And you honestly think that parents are going to spend that entire $45,000 getting items for school? You think so? I would not hold them to that. I would not hold them to that. It would be unfair for me to hold them to that. Because poor mothers, they don't have a good deal from the PPPC. They have a raw deal from the PPPC. This is why on a program I did encourage Irfan Ali to go to the market with a few poor mothers and watch them. Poor mothers / head of the home, and watch them navigate from a financial perspective with the little that they have in their pocket. Because for most of these households, the income and the expenditures, they ain't speaking. Expenditures are here through the roof and income is down here. That means you have all this area here to fill in. How are you doing that? Most of these people, they dig a hole to fill a hole. I can't hit them on that. I can't hit them on that. They live in a wealthy, oil-producing nation. And this is what they are faced with. What's the solution going forward? What's the solution? We can't be an oil-producing nation, but the quality of life of our citizens in the nation is not improving. But we've seen tall buildings going up all over the place. We see new highways and byways and stuff like that. I want the poor Guyanese to understand this. Those new highways and byways that you guys are seeing, it's not really for you, you know. You're there, so you will be given the opportunity to use them. You're there. It is for the rich. When they touch down, they must get a straight, smooth ride. A straight, smooth ride. That's why they couldn't have made a little U or whatever it was to go around the people of Moko. Oh no, we're going to go right through them. It doesn't matter that they live there 10, 15, 20, 25 years. This is government reserve or whatever we want to call it. We're going to go right through them. We're not even going to make a deal with them and say, hey, look, you got this one house lot here. We got a house lot for you in Success that it would equate to 1.5 of this house lot that you currently have. We're asking you to relocate. We want to run a highway through here. PPP like that. They're a set of homes. They are ruthless. You know, see when Barry Jack Dio come out, you hear we talk? Fearless. Fearless. And seeing that I'm on the topic of Barry Jack Dio, he spoke about the hierarchy in the AFC and the PNCR, how it has changed. When you look at the hierarchy, all you see is Guyanese of African descent. My brothers and sisters, on this program this evening, I'm going to share something very personal with regards to me. And when the PPP got into power in 2020. My brother, who's typically on this program and on this page a lot, Mr. Gavin Caesar, he had come to me. He's very, very passionate. And he started to rip the PPP. And I told him to stop. I said, my brother, we're not going to start right now. Let's see what they do. That alone tells you that this Wayne Caesar here, I don't care whether the government is Indian. I don't care whether the government is, Guyanese of Indian descent. I don't care whether the government, the hierarchy is Amerindian Guyanese. I don't care whether the hierarchy is Portuguese, Guyanese of Portuguese descent, or Guyanese of Chinese descent. I don't care. Hear what it's all about for me. This is my opinion. It is all about execution for the people. It is about execution for the people. And that's where I got my issue with the PPP. This has nothing to do with race. Absolutely nothing to do with race. It has to do with execution on behalf of the people. You have taken an oath to serve the people of Guyana. You have taken an oath to accept the salaries that you are being paid. All of these things are involved in that oath that you would have taken. You went, remember, and you swore on the Bible. Irfan Ali, you all remember this. But if Irfan Ali swears on the Bible, I don't know how valuable that is. He's a Muslim. So people of Ghana, you all need to vet that also. Because they probably could come back and say, I never swore to anything, or you may have to have a Quran or something there. A Bible and a Quran. These guys took these oaths and totally turned their backs on the people of Guyana. And that is what hurts. Because in all of these deal making, you could have sat down and said, hey man, we're making all these deals. What are we doing for the everyday born and bred Guyanese? What are we actually doing for the people? We took an oath. We were placed here to manage the patrimonies, to manage the country for the people of Guyana, not for ourselves, for the people of Guyana. And this is what I want any government, the installed sitting government, the opposition, this is what I want them to understand. Every MP should understand this. When you are disconnected from the leader, when you are not adhering to the leader, you are hurting the people of Guyana. You are hurting your constituency. You are being selfish. If it is that your constituency tells you that that's the position you should take, then okay, that's the position you take. But you, as the leader of that constituency, would also need to look at the big picture and may have to come back to your constituency and tell them, hey, look, this is not the position that we should be taking. And you would need to give them more context to the issue, whatever issue that may be. We got to get serious. Guyanese have to get serious. They need to start holding their politicians accountable. When you elect people and you put people in office, you don't put them to get rich. You put them there to serve. That's the purpose, to serve, to manage. The gross mismanagement of the Guyanese resources soon is going to be unrepairable. The Guyanese, this GDP and this economy that they're talking about, fastest growing and all this stuff, it might be fastest growing from an external perspective, but not an internal perspective, because you don't see it with the Guyanese people. It doesn't have an effect on the people. But yet, a lot of you PPP supporters, y'all come on and y'all say, oh, Dr. Barra Jagdeo, they're all after him. Nobody's not after Jagdeo. But Jagdeo don't own Guyana. When his parents would have passed on, they didn't pass on a will saying that, hey, you own Guyana. No, Guyana belongs to the people of Guyana. And that's the way it's going to always be. That's the way it should always be. Guyana should always be an independent and sovereign nation. And the people of Guyana need to wake up and not allow anybody to come and destroy the value and fabric of their country. The amount of young people that are walking around in Guyana now with firearms and these type of things, it's despicable. It's despicable. And they're totally uneducated. They don't even understand the dangers of a firearm. Yes, they know that it's going to kill you. But some of these same young people, they have children and they have the gun right there in their homes. Illegal, of course, for the most part. Our parents need to get on the ground with their children. Start grounding them. It doesn't matter if they're in their 20s. It doesn't matter if they're in their 30s. It is still your child. It's going to always be your child, no matter what. It could be an 80-year-old mother dealing with a 50-year-old son. It is still your child. Once a parent, always a parent. When a mother bears a child and that child becomes 21 or whatever the legal age is in Guyana, I don't know if 21, 18, you're still the parent of the child. The child would have met an age of an adult age, but you're still the parent. I want to pivot quick. We are now across the Caribbean, of course, not Guyana. A lot of the countries that was hit by Hurricane Beryl. And again, I just want to give well wishes to all those people because I know there's a lot of Guyanese in all those islands. I know Barbados was hit. I would have understood that we would have sent aid to Barbados. No. I want you to listen clearly. I do not have a problem with aid being sent to Barbados. But what I do have a problem with is that we had a massive disaster in Linden also. And my brothers and sisters, you all know where charity begins. I'm gonna let you put it in the comments. I'm gonna say it after you've put it in the comments. Right? You all know, because you guys are a very, very intelligent audience. I can't sleep because you're quick to correct me, and I love it. I love it because I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect, and I'll never be perfect. Everybody knows where charity begins. Let me see. Let me look at your comments. Princess Tasha, thank you. Candy, Naleen, Inderjeet, thank you. Flash Garden is here. A pleasant good evening to you, Mr. Flash Garden. A pleasant good evening to you. I see Jamal Aziz also here. Mr. Aziz, a pleasant good evening. Hazel Johnson, a pleasant good evening. I'll remember to check all you guys present. Don't worry. I go through all the comments at the end of every show. All the comments. So anything you guys want to say to me, please feel free to put it in the comments. I do not skip a comment. I go through every single one of them because they are all very, very important. Charity begins at home. I would have understood that they did some $77 million in infrastructure work in Linden. Well, whatever works you guys would have done in Linden, it ain't working. What you guys need to do, you need to get with the people of Linden. The people of Linden that you're trying to avoid. Linden has a lot of leaders. I don't know how many of you go on the Small Man platform, but they have their own little show where they speak on issues pertinent to Linden. They understand the dynamics of Linden. A smart government would have gotten with those people. But no, you guys want to get with your little town clerk that despises the people. You ain't going to get nowhere with that. You're not going to get anywhere with that PPPC. You leave the people of Linden and you go and you serve Barbados. It's just like the situation with Exxon and oil spill, coverage. You leave the people of Guyana hanging on El Nandalal, and you went on the side of Exxon in the case. So it's Exxon and Anil Nandalal, the Attorney General of Guyana, against the people of Guyana. From a logical perspective, that makes absolutely no sense. But from a PPP perspective, it makes so much sense, because that is what you guys are about. That is what you guys are about. You guys are about money. You're about nepotism. Okay? School at Bamia, we missing deadline after deadline with that school. Deadline after deadline, failure after failure, and the taxpayers' money continue to pour into the project. Well, not into the project. It is allocated to the project. But I guess when the money is actually pushed out, it is pushed out into maybe different bank accounts. Right? The entire treasury system in Guyana, all the accounts in Guyana, need to go under a total forensic audit. All the reports. And we could go as far back as maybe 1990, and we can start there and come right back up the chain. And if the PPP, they might want to go beyond, they might want to go into earlier years. I would go there. I would go there. Because if you find anything, it would never ever be close to the magnitude of robbery that is occurring today. We can't even get close. What is happening today in 6 months probably would cover 1980 to 1990, 10 years. It is deep. It is deep. It is deep. I know earlier I spoke of religion. I want to pull that back from a spiritual perspective. Let's put it that way. I don't want to bring religion into this conversation. Put aside religion. This is a spiritual thing where I ask you to pray for your leaders. It's spiritual, totally spiritual. I was just calibrating it, and I said, no, let's drop religion. Let's drop religion. Religion is not a part of this. Let's keep religion out. So they totally ignore Linden. Sarah Johanna, I'm sure those parents and children, they might be still living in those tents. I haven't gotten an update from there. They might be still living in those tents, but I know they could either go by a family member or something outside of that. If they have nobody, then they have to live in the street. So the government, the installed government of Guyana, is forcing Guyanese to be homeless. Could you imagine that in an oil-producing nation? You are forcing your citizens to be homeless. Right? You guys build out Plastic City and made accommodations and all these things for the Venezuelans living in Plastic City. And I think before you guys did anything, David Granger would have done, the Honorable former President David Arthur Granger would have done things to accommodate Venezuelans. At the time, it wasn't the situation that it is today. They weren't coming into the country, being led into the country to vote for any particular party. But in this current case, that is what's happening. That's why it is so imperative and so important that the opposition get into GCOM to understand what is really happening with that apparatus, what is going on within GCOM. I'm seeing that I am on GCOM. We need some electoral reforms. We need to put some strong electoral reforms in place for Guyana. And in those reforms, GCOM need to be addressed. It needs to be front and back when it comes to GCOM. Because when I look at the Guyana Elections Commission right now, it's a total disservice to the people. A total disservice to the people of Guyana. All this money that would have been flowing through Guyana since 2020, nothing could have been put in place for biometrics. And I know there's some of the normal Guyanese. I'm not gonna step out there and say that they're unlearned. No, because there are things that I myself don't know. Okay, I've been away from Guyana so long. There's certain things with regards to Guyana history that I don't know. I just look at the current affairs and I pick it up from there. And I do my analysis from there. In my analysis, it may lead me into some history, and then I go and I read up on it. But I'm not going to get on here and say that I'm the most learned person when it comes to Guyana history. I know Mr. Flash Gordon is on the program. He's very learned when it comes to Guyana history. But we know what's happening now. We need to step up. We need to address that. Whether it's, yes, bringing what would have happened historically, incorporating it into what's going on now. We have the necessary resources in place. You have people like Dr. David Hines, you have the Mark Benchcops, you have all these people who have good understanding of these things. The opposition have to get very, very serious, right? One of the things that you gotta really tie in things to as an opposition, you need to have a very, very, very good relationship with the unions of Guyana and the leaders of those unions. These are positions that the opposition need to start establishing now. You can't wait. This thing is going to be a fight. It's going to be a massive fight. You need to start getting into GCOM. Those commissioners need to start working. I heard Mr. Mark Benchcop addressing them the other night. I am 100% agreeing with him. These guys need to start executing. Good evening to you, Honorable Mr. Basil Bracha. Good to see you. Listen, I gotta be on my game on this program. There's a lot of important people that is watching this program. Good evening to you, Basil. Civic is also here. Good evening, Honorable Neville Sita, known as Civic. Good evening to you, sir. Handel Ford, good evening. We got to get serious. Very, very serious. Guyana is for all of us. Guyana is for all Guyanese. No matter race, class, gender, it belongs to the people. It needs to be understood. Guyana is not the stock market. We welcome investors. We welcome investors. but not just to take out of the country and tear away its value and tear away its fabric. We are just not going to allow that. This dispensation of Guyanese is not going to allow that. We are not going to allow Guyana to creep into a dictatorship, which is the direction it is going in now. Everybody needs to come together and address the issues that are facing our country. All Guyanese, you need to examine yourself. You need to, look at your position that you're taking when it comes to politics, when it comes to party. Look at the two parties, look at the opposition, look at the current installed regime, look at the issues that are affecting the country, and see who would work better for you. It's about you. It's not about these politicians. It's not about, oh, if I don't vote PPP, Jack D, gonna vex. Who cares? That man is wealthy. Who cares? He is wealthy from a financial perspective. Let me just put it that way. He is wealthy from a financial perspective. Because I consider, my opinion again, I consider wealthy many things. You can be wealthy with knowledge. You can, it's all kind of different things. We could break this down in a whole lot of different ways. You can be wealthy with love for people, right? Love, love, love. Love, Jagdio. Where is that? Ali, PPP, where is your love for the Guyanese people? Where is it? Where is your conscience? Irfan Ali, you have children. Where is your conscience? You have a wife. Where is your conscience? I give you a little task to go there and go to the market with a few everyday Guyanese women. Do it. And you will get a proper perspective. Do it. I don't want to tell you that you're from a financial perspective, you're unlearned. Maybe you are, maybe you are not. I don't know. But, we can't sit down here again and we can't think that the PPPC is going to bring about change in Guyana. We can't sit down and think so. They will not. I can answer the question for you guys. I have been around long enough now. I've been around long enough now to see and analyze the behavior of these guys. All the ministers, all the MPs that are under Barry Jagdio, you're all spineless. You're all spineless. And I can take it to another level and call you guys unlearned. You're not executing on behalf of the people. Remember Ashley Singh and his little arrogant budget statement? Oh, I am back to make sure that the APNU stay out of power. Why are we talking about power at a budget presentation? It just shows you. It just shows you how these guys think. It's about power. It's about ethnic supremacy. We got to open our eyes to these things, Guyanese, and we got to start standing up. We got to start standing up. Leader of the opposition, Mr. Aubrey C. Norton, you guys need to address that issue regarding the APNU, a partnership for national unity, and this whole thing about an election being called without the current chairman, as quoted by Mr. Norton, without the current chairman and general secretary. My knowledge is that a new chairman was elected, unknown, apparently, to Mr. Norton, who probably is or was the current chairman. It depends on what position they take on this issue. But I find this to be an important issue that needs to be addressed ASAP. Can't wait until the last moment to have these arguments. We got to keep working. The biannual Congress is over. What is next? These parties need to start getting together so everybody understand each other. Everybody is accustomed working with each other. You guys are not going to be off cue. You guys are going to be in sequence like a well-oiled machine. That takes work. You got to work with each other. So you guys need to fix this. Vincent Henry is the new chairman elected, and the general secretary is Tabitha Sarbu Haley. That's what the APNU is saying right now. So Mr. Norton has to get with them. They have to get an understanding whether they're going to rerun the whole thing or whatever they're going to do. They need to do that ASAP. The Guyanese people don't have time to be hearing arguments in the opposition. Oh, well, we are not going to run together. Oh, well, we are not going to do this. No, you guys need to get together and you guys need to make this determination now. Or else you guys would be in the same seat as the PPPC, failing the people. Failing the people. That cannot continue. The PPP and the PNCR and the coalition, you guys need to stop failing the people. Everybody needs to stop failing the people. And you people of Guyana understand this. If the omen becomes that you, the people, have to formulate your own government and your own party, and you guys want to overwhelmingly vote for that party, go right ahead. Because this failure cannot continue. It just cannot continue. It can't continue this way. The only way to stop it, the Guyanese people need to start requesting standards. We cannot remain lukewarm. We got to request standards. We want standards in policing. We want standards when it comes to governance. We want standards when it comes to our oil wealth. We want standards for all the people who are placed in these high positions, from Attorney General right through. We want standards when it comes to our court system. We were only working with 6 judges where there should be 20, I believe. We need to get those seats filled. We got a lot of capable magistrates out there who is capable. Give them employment. Don't look at the color of their skin. I know a lot of them lined up, qualified for those seats that are available there on the judiciary. A lot of them lined up there are Guyanese of African descent. So the PPP is stymieing the process by not bringing them on board because of fear that they stack the judiciary with Guyanese of African descent, and it comes back to hurt them. Chief Justice, Chancellor of the Judiciary, why can't their positions be made permanent? Why does the PPP continue to hurt these 2 women? Is it because they are women of African descent? Is it because you are afraid that if you give them the permanent status, that it will come back to bite you? Is it that you're waiting for them to walk away and then you stack it with who you want to stack it with, replace them with, based on an ethnic position? We got to stop this. This is the 21st century. People are going to be who they are. People are going to be who they are. People need to start being more objective. Especially the PPP. They must bring the racial narrative to the table when it comes to election time. They must bring it, because that's the only way they even stand a chance. And through all of this, there are many of our Indo-Guyanese, Guyanese of Indian descent that are struggling, punishing. They are poor and they are punishing. Some of them no education and they're punishing. And when they go to the polls, they vote PPP. Brothers and sisters on the ground in Guyana, it is all your responsibility to edify your neighbor, no matter race, class, gender. Edify your neighbors. People of Guyana, you all should strongly demand that there is debates during election season. Strongly. And you make your decisions based on how the parties and the members of the parties, the prime ministerial candidate, presidential candidate, president, prime minister, how they perform, the issues, how they plan to address the issues. Because when Barry Jagdeo have a press conference, I'm just using him, his Thursday press conference, he is there to bash people. Bash the APNU plus. The APNU plus AFC is not sitting in government right now. You are. Don't bring them up. You guys choose not to include them. You guys choose to be undemocratic and not include the APNU plus AFC. You guys choose that. You ask most people in Guyana, they will tell you, hey, we want an inclusive government. When you don't include them, most people would say government is operating at 50% because the opposition is not being, because it's so close, right? Most people would say that the government is operating at 50% in Guyana. Well, I'm going to differ a bit. I'm going to say the government is operating at 20% because the PPP and their ministers, based on their actions and based on what the Guyanese people would have faced under this installed regime, they are extremely unlearned. So how can government be operating at 50% with them? Gangsters don't know how to run a government. All gangsters do is dig holes to fill holes and fill their pockets. This is serious business. When it comes to management of a country, it is a serious thing. And you got to be serious. You have to be independent in both fact and appearance. You have to be independent. You can't see money and go crazy. You can't. That's not the way forward. When you do that, you're not thinking about the people. You're not doing your job. Again, when you sit in these high offices, right? In Wayne Caesar's opinion, my opinion, there's nothing such as a presidential look. You know, people just be, oh, this person don't look presidential. Oh, he's ugly. Oh, she's ugly, but this person is beautiful. My brothers and sisters on this program, we are highly educated. And we know that beauty is not in looks. It lies in the heart. Example, a woman's beauty is not her looks. It's what's inside her heart. Same thing for male. So there's nothing such as presidential look. A person that sits in the position of president can look however once they dress neatly and they're executing on behalf of their people and their country, making sure that they put their country first. They're doing the job. They're doing the job. It has nothing to do with your physical appearance. Nothing to do with that. That's just perception. We look at a person and we say, oh, that person is beautiful looking. That's our perception. That's our opinion. From an exterior perspective, the person could look beautiful, but what's in here? What's in here? What's in the heart? We got to get serious. Claudette Singh, she needs to start making appearances or just hand over the torch. We got to move. Guyana got to move. Claudette Singh got to understand. I know a lot of people say, oh, we put all the blame on her, whatever the case is. We got to put the blame on Claudette Singh. Because even if Claudette Singh make even if she made an error in doing what she would have done to have the PPP sitting there installed in government, she's got the massive opportunity for the last 4 years of starting to repivot and correct that error by having a new voters list in place, by having biometrics in place. Okay, a lot of people, I was told today, Wayne, you need to just expound a quick expansion on biometrics. Biometrics is a method of identifying an individual, right? For example, if someone passes away and there's no ID on the person, what do? They use their fingerprint, if there is one available, and they put it and it goes into their database and it will pull up who the person is with matching. They can use dental records, amongst many other things. But that's what biometrics is about, being able to identify. We do biometrics every day. All of us on this call do biometrics every day. If I see Hazel Johnson on the road and I could identify Hazel Johnson, that's biometrics right there. Manual biometrics done by a human. If I see Jamal Aziz and I could identify him, that's biometrics. The only thing that it's different here, it is not manual biometrics. It is computerized biometrics. So when the person shows up, they put their fingerprint there, their index finger there, and we're able to, the elections commission is able to identify them. Again, I want to thank everyone for watching. Continue, everybody, to support Andrew's supermarket down there in Guyana at Rob Street. Please continue supporting Andrew's supermarket. Continue to support Sunita London interior decorating and event planning services. Again, the number is posted there, 592-672-4743. You're having a wedding, you're having an event, please reach out to them. And this program is brought to you compliments of Benchcap Consultancy and Immigration Law. Again, you can reach out. The phone number is 917-714-1082. If you have immigration matters, please reach out. We're approaching an election here in the United States. You have open immigration issues, please reach out. Also, you can get your U.S. citizenship done at Benchcap Consultancy, Immigration, and Law. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining this afternoon. Please go ahead and have a pleasant weekend. And as you travel the highways and byways, my brothers and sisters, I ask you all to be very careful. I love each and every one of you. And again, we ask that God bless the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Until next week, so long, my friends.
Sunday, still on my mind. Small days is a good time. Neighbor, have some little change.